Why did Johnny Carson live his final years in total isolation? He was America's king of late night, loved by millions. In 1992, 50 million people tuned in to watch his final episode. But after that final episode, he simply vanished. No interviews, no comebacks, and almost no public life at all. So why did the most famous man on TV disappear into total isolation? That's the mystery we're about to uncover. When Johnny died on January 23, 2005, no public memorial service was held. From the 1980s until his death in 2005, Johnny Carson lived in his Malibu home, seeing fewer than 20 people per year outside his immediate household. You might wonder how this was possible considering Johnny was the host of NBC's The Tonight Show from 1962 to 1992. That's 30 years of constantly being in the public eye. How could he make sure that he limited his interactions with people, especially when during that period Johnny interviewed over 7,000 guests and had done about 4,531 episodes? No wonder Johnny Carson became the most famous face on television in that period. He was described as being effortlessly charming and funny. But not many people knew this. That wasn't the real Johnny. Or was it? His producer, Peter LaSalle, noticed something disturbing. He realized Johnny was wearing a mask of being a charming extrovert. Peter saw Johnny switch from being an energetic, charming man to dropping monotonous sentences while missing his couch at home. To Johnny, being a TV presenter was just a job he had to do. And there was a reason for this, which we'll soon tell you. So, anytime the cameras stopped rolling, Johnny was already looking for ways to avoid people and get out of the studio. Small talks. He didn't even want to talk to any of the crew members or even his colleagues. Johnny would rather be alone doing crossword puzzles than do that. What about talking to fans? That was a long shot. Johnny was so determined to avoid people that he instructed NBC to make his own private exit for him. He would return each night, but the routine stayed the same. There were times that his routine got threatened, like when he got invitations to industry events. Johnny treated those events as if they were burdens. He avoided them when he could, and when he couldn't, he reluctantly went. In a year, Johnny would only attend around 12 industry events, while his competitor MV Griffin attended around 45 or more each year. Johnny had an excuse for not going to those Hollywood events. He would claim parties are for extroverts and preferred to go home to talk to his dog, not his wife. Well, man, could this be the reason why Johnny had 4 marriages? Was he ignoring the emotional needs of the women he married before he disappeared from the public? And after? His routine was simple. He would play tennis alone or read Astronomy magazine in solitude. In the afternoon, he would have brief phone calls to Jay Leno for joke swapping. Their interaction was controlled and professional. Even when he got visitors like director Howard Smith, they would have a small chat before Johnny asked them to stay quiet and watch the stars. Smith said Johnny was content. But was that contentment, or was Johnny's past still haunting him even during the last days of his life? Was Johnny's past? You'll see what we mean soon. In the evenings, Johnny always ate at home, but it wasn't as if he didn't get invitations for dinner outside his home. His 4th wife, Alexis Mass, said they had quiet dinners, no guests and less family. She claimed Johnny thrived in that silence. Did he really, or was he being selfish? Rather than talk to her, Johnny would prefer to read, play tennis alone, or just watch the ocean. Johnny was too focused on himself and not the needs of his wife and those around him. But Johnny also was a charitable man. Privately and without fanfare, he wrote out millions of dollars in checks to charitable causes to strangers. But how could this same man hardly give his wife attention? But it wasn't just the women he married he did this to. As you'll come to see, it isn't really surprising that Johnny turned out this way. When he was young, he wasn't like other kids. While neighborhood children played baseball and chased each other through Iowa cornfields, he stayed inside reading comics or perfecting card tricks from a mail-order magic kit he'd begged for. At age 14, he usually experienced stomach-knotting dread before social interactions. It was so bad that when guests came to visit, he would crouch behind his family's upright piano. Sometimes he would hide in the shadows and shuffle playing cards, all to avoid guests. He had to because if he got too noticed and wasn't perfect, he could get in trouble. His mother, Ruth, was mean and demanded perfection from him and his siblings. But she didn't think John would be capable of anything close to perfection. Imagine letting a child feel like they can't be good enough. And as a boy, Johnny would always be filthy, and she didn't like dirt. Imagine that. Ruth was ruthless. She didn't act like a mother, but like a cranky captain of a warship. Affection, that was a currency in her household, and she was stingy with it. Compliments and warmth had to be earned. Even when he became successful as a late-night TV host, there were reports that she ridiculed him. Could these reports be true? Did she hate her own son? And when Johnny got his cards, he practiced his entertainment skills on family members with card tricks. He would follow them around and ask them to pick a card. Then, he decided to perform in front of people despite being shy. His mom supported him and made him a cape for his first performance in front of the local Kiwanis Club. Eventually, he premiered as the Great Carsoni at 14 and got paid $3 a show. Johnny realized something. The audience loved him. The feeling of warmth was different from the pressure he felt from his mother. When his mother died in October 1985 at 84 years, he didn't mourn her. What he did tell his friends instead was the wicked witch is dead. Johnny refused to attend the funeral. But however, what happened next shattered what he thought about his mom. In her home, Johnny found something. It became clear that inside her home, she kept a large box full of clippings from his whole career. Every article, every review, every mention. The woman who never showed him affection had been his biggest fan, all along collecting evidence of his success in secret. Johnny took that box and kept it in his bedroom closet for his whole life. Did he regret not attending his mom's funeral? Could he have forgiven her for his childhood at that moment? Living in that kind of dysfunctional environment destroyed Johnny's perception of people. He would rather avoid them than make a mess of interaction and get scolded. But deep inside, Johnny wanted to be loved, and he loved attention from doing card tricks for people. So he decided he wanted to be a magician. Some reports claim that Mother nastily discouraged him. Those reports may not be true because she secretly kept the large box we talked about before that contained clippings of articles about his progress. Or did she discourage him first and have a change of mind later? Or maybe she didn't want him to be a magician and was fine with everything else. While he was in the United States Navy, he found out something about himself. He could actually do it. In the Navy, Johnny showed the ability to engage and win during physical combat. He was an amateur boxer in the Navy, and out of his 16 fights, he only lost one. So, U.S. Secretary of the Navy James V. Forrestal asked him if he wanted to stay in the Navy, but Johnny said no and told him he wanted to be a magician instead. Forrestal must have been shocked, so he asked that Johnny perform a trick for him. But Johnny didn't just want to be a magician. He had the chops for it. Johnny was able to entertain and amuse Forrestal. From that experience, Johnny realized that if he could entertain and amuse someone as cranky and sophisticated as Forrestal, he could entertain anyone. Then he made a decision. He wasn't going to be a magician anymore. He was going to be a comedy writer. To do this, when he went to the University of Nebraska in 1946, he majored in journalism. Writing comedy would allow him to entertain without really interacting with people. But after some months into his program, Johnny changed courses to speech and drama. Why the change of heart? Johnny didn't want to write comedy anymore. He thought he was going to be a radio performer instead. There was a reason for this, too. Johnny had started performing magic tricks for money. He made about $25 per show, and he wanted a career which would give him a feeling close to that. Being a radio performer seemed like the best option. By 1949, he was done with college, but he wouldn't be a radio performer. But his college training prepared him to be what he would eventually be, a TV host. And after failing and not stopping, Johnny finally got a show on NBC in 1962. Why would a shy and introverted person decide to be a late-night TV host? Remember his weird perception of love. Since he got the love and warmth he wished he got in his childhood from audiences, Johnny was hooked. But there was a problem. He was unable or unwilling to try getting that love from